Mike Pompeo is a Republican congressman from Kansas, and he's convinced that Muslims in America, American citizens, are not doing the right thing. Let's hear from the esteemed congressman from Kansas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's been just under 2 months since the attacks in Boston, and in those intervening weeks, the silence of Muslim leaders has been deafening. And that is sad, but perhaps most importantly, it's dangerous. When the most devastating terrorist attacks on America in the last 20 years come overwhelmingly from people of a single faith and are performed in the name of that faith, a special obligation falls on those that are the leaders of that faith. Instead of responding, silence has made these Islamic leaders across America potentially complicit in these acts, and more importantly still, in those that may well follow.
Yeah, the most devastating terrorist attacks, like the Oklahoma City bombing, like sending different kinds of poisons to the president, the senators, etc., after 9/11 and after the Boston bombings, the Unabomber, all Muslims. I don't know if you knew the Unabomber was a Muslim. Well, I'm getting information that he's not. Neither was Timothy McVeigh or Terry Nichols or the Atlanta bomber, who was, by the way, a Christian fundamentalist. Okay. So anyway, it doesn't matter because Pompeo got him, man. The largest Muslim American groups, the silence was deafening after Boston. Like, for example, the Council on American Islamic Relations, the day of the bombings, put out this statement. American Muslims, like Americans of all backgrounds, condemn in the strongest possible terms today's cowardly bomb attack on participants and spectators of the Boston Marathon. Wow, deafening. That doesn't quite look like silence. It seems like they're condemning him in the strongest words. Well, they must have been the only Muslim group who did that, except all of these groups, within 10 hours of the bombings, send very strong statements condemning the bombings. Universal Muslim Association of America, Muslim Public Affairs Council, Council on American Islamic Relations, Muslim Peace Coalition, Muslim American Society of Public Affairs and Engagement, Islamic Society of North America. Deafening silence, except for the fact that they all sent statements. Well, Pompeo also referred to other events like the Times Square bombing. Well, I'm sure the Council on Islamic Relations didn't send a notice during that, right after that. No way, right? What? They did on that too? Quote, on behalf of the American Muslim community, we condemn the attack in Times Square and thank all those who reported their suspicions, disarmed the bomb, or are participating in the current investigation. It was, by the way, a Muslim American that reported that bomb in Times Square. He found a guy who was acting suspicious and turned him in. But his silence was deafening as well. One more from CARE. The American Muslims repudiate all acts of terrorism and will continue to work with local, state, and federal law enforcement authorities to keep our nation safe and secure. They didn't send those today. They sent them on the day that these people were apprehended and the Boston bombings happened in that particular case. It's amazing how stupid, ignorant, and flat out purposely wrong Republicans are. Mike Pompeo went and gave a speech on the United States Congress floor. There's only two possibilities. Either without ever checking if any of those groups ever put out a statement, the simplest Google search in the world would have gotten you that answer. Or he did check and didn't give a damn and lied on the floor of the Congress anyway. And why did he do it? To blame all Muslim Americans who are American citizens, to divide us and to say, oh, those guys, I don't care who the bombers were, they're all guilty. All the bombings are Muslim, false. And all the Muslims are responsible for the actions of a couple of few folks who actually did the bombings. By the way, according to that logic, of course, Mike Pompeo, just as guilty as Timothy McVeigh, white Christian. Hey, Mike Pompeo, I'm sure you put out a statement right after the Oklahoma City bombing saying you condemn all white Christians, right? Or all right-wingers. McVeigh was a right-winger, just like you. Did you put out that statement? You didn't. How about after the Atlanta bombings? How about after we caught Eric Rudolph? How about after the Unabomber? You didn't put out those statements. Well, that's it. You're just as guilty as those terrorists. Mike Pompeo, I hate to do it, but indistinguishable from the Unabomber. That's his own logic. It's ridiculous.